Felipe, the game's at 1 o'clock today, right?
What game?
FGCU. Oh, I'm sorry. It's tomorrow. My bad.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
So, David, you're welcome.
Okay.
Bruce had sent a couple emails about this Dolphins watch party, next week. And I said, well, first off, why don't we just do a 1 o'clock game watch thing? We don't know when the games are going to be played. But then he's like, Donnie, really, can we get Donnie on air? And I just kind of went, no, we can't. I said, how about we bring him in? I'll bring him in at 10. I'll record some stuff that we can do, spots that sound like they're live. Will that work? All right, I can do that. Okay.
Who's Donnie?
The sales guy. But he owns a company and he doesn't get paid commission to sell, but he doesn't sell. So but apparently
I was going to say
Marty has promised him that he can be on the air. That's the problem. And he keeps all over Bruce saying, when am I going to be able to get my interview? Because he's part of that he owns that Salt Life company. And they did a trade, so Marty gets free airport transportation.
Well, we should use it and put it in his spots.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to interview him at 10 o'clock and make it into, that's what I just said. I'm going to bring him in at 10,
right?
Do a little couple 3-minute interview with him that we can reduce to a 90-second spot and run that. That way we have a spot that sounds like that we possibly could use for other advertisers. That was my theory.
He's so old school and, waiting until having face-to-face meetings just to have face-to-face meetings, not actually accomplishing anything, promising people, you can come in and do a thing on the radio. No, that's 1980s.
$30 seconds. $10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Final Friday of 2022. Final show of 2022. When we ask the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm in El Paso this morning.
How is El Paso this morning?
Well, it's raining a little bit. Temps in the 40s, going to get into the mid-50s. Rain's going to stop, apparently. So I will say we're in a different spot in El Paso. You've heard me say that CBS, they have the Sun Bowl. It's their only bowl game. They've had the Sun Bowl for, 60 years. And it's very much like Groundhog Day. I mean, everything is the same. The hotel we stay in is the same. Literally, Mark, the 12 or so Sun Bowls that I've been a part of, the guy who's like our chaperone is the same guy. His name's Dave. All right. I see him a year later. We start picking up the conversation about his family. It's exactly the same. Mark, they put us in a different hotel.
Uh-oh.
In a different part of the city.
Confusion. The rank and file at CBS won't know what to do later today.
I needed directions. It's a very nice hotel. It's in the heart of downtown El Paso, which is bustling. By the way, have not seen any of what it is that many people have seen on the news. just now, granted, all I did was drive from the airport about 15, 18 minutes to downtown El Paso. But I'm just throwing that out there because I think when people hear El Paso, they think, oh, well, the border situation and a bunch of people trying to get in the country and a bunch of people on the streets. I'm just letting you know I have not seen evidence of any of that. Now, I still have to go from downtown to the stadium, and the stadium, very close to the stadium, is how you get into Juarez, and that's apparently where many of the people are coming from. But so I'll be curious if later today, sun up as opposed to darkness when I was driving last night. But I just throwing that out there, that, and it's one of the things that I was curious about, Mark. So
Moulton's going R&D this afternoon.
What it is that we're seeing on the news, is that in fact reality or not?
Are you sacrificing a nap today for R&D?
Well, it's going to be really close as to whether or not I can jam in an hour. It's going to be really close. I may have to suck it up and stay awake all day, and then just sleep on the flight to Dallas tonight. That's the other thing. I'm here 22 hours. Landed at 9. I'm out of here at 7.
Well, that is your Sun Bowl tradition unlike any other. You do not stay in El Paso for 1 second longer than need be.
I used to. First 5 or 6 that I did, I used to. But no. No. Now it's in and out. In fact, Mark, I enjoyed 3 times I've actually flown in the morning of the game. Now, remember, it's Mountain Time. The game kicks off no later than noon local time. I mean, I've flown in from Jersey the morning of the game, and I've flown in a couple times from Southwest Florida morning of the game. This is the latest I've ever gotten to a press box, is the Sun Bowl. I walked in about 12 minutes before the broadcast one year. Vern was glaring at me. I looked right at him. I go, what? I'm not needed. Besides, I work for the other guy.
Yeah, but you disrupted Vern's
totally
game day mojo.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know how that works.
Exactly.
You're the play-by-play guy. You got your booth. You got your people in it, this, that, and the other thing. Where's Moulton? He'll be here. And then all of a sudden you start looking around. Right. Yep. Vern, was very much the conductor. It's kind of like, hey, where's the guy who sits in that chair? Well, what do you mean he's going to be late? Yep. So here's a great question. All right. Just ask it of any of you. Who's playing in the Sun Bowl? I'll sit back and wait for your answers. All of you. How many know it? Don't look it up.
I'm not looking up. I know you got UCLA.
Don't go to the phone.
I know you got UCLA.
Okay. You're halfway there. For the record, the Sun Bowl is a Pac-12 ACC bowl game, with Notre Dame occasionally allowed to interrupt the proceedings. That whole ACC, connection. Not a member.
It's Narduzzi's team because they had the whole.
There you go.
Have you?
There you go. So UCLA and Pitt. There you go. Which I have to admit, Mark, I mean, if this was, Johnny Majors and Terry Donahue, all right, I mean, this got real sex appeal right here, But here's the other thing. I know Aikman's going to be watching. It's his alma mater. It's the only time I get texts. Okay, if he's stuck in a hotel somewhere and he has to watch the game we're doing, or if by chance we're doing UCLA.
Well, now that they're part of the Big Ten, you'll maybe be doing a few more of their games.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. I'm in El Paso, Mark back in the cozy confines. We had the 2 shows together. We'll have another show together next week. Very exciting.
And then we'll see each other sometime in
I think
the latter
the spring,
part of 2023.
No, I think the spring. I actually think dragged the wife with me in late February, sometime in March. Yeah, I know.
Look at you guys. After all these years going on vacation together.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if we like each other that much. I mean, is it, you can just go on a trip together. It's not necessarily a vacation. I mean, that would involve canoodling and, I mean, come on. I don't know if we're there yet, Mark. It was kind of like when I got upgraded to first class the other day, and none of the couples were sitting next to one another, but they all decided they wanted to. I was shocked. I started asking them all, how long you been married? And much to my surprise, two of them over 30 years. They still wanted to sit next to one another. One woman was my favorite, though. She said, yeah, I want to sit next to my husband. Sat next to him for 3 minutes. She got up. She said, yeah, I changed my mind. She walks up 2 rows, says to some stranger, would you switch seats with me? And the stranger did. I was howling out loud. How great is that?
What the hell is first class now where we just randomly walk around seats?
Well, first off, I don't understand it where the couples aren't sitting together. You book the flights. What? You're 1B and she's 3C? What? No, you book them together.
I'm guessing there was a lot of upgrades with those as well.
Maybe.
That's my guess.
But then that's the other thing. Wait a minute. Hold on. One spouse sits in first class and the other doesn't? I love when I see that. The wife and the child are back in coach. Okay. Husband's in first class. Midway through the flight, husband walks back to coach and says something to the effect of, oh, hey, yeah, I forgot to tell you. Da, 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 da. Everything going okay? Good. Turns around, walks back to first class. Seriously? Oh, my goodness. I can't believe she can't get that divorce finalized before the plane lands.
He's not sitting with the kid for the whole flight.
Obviously.
Kid picks mom. Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, but you don't do that. You trade in your first class ticket. You sit together. It's a family, right?
You know the difference? I mean, you're well aware of the difference between first class and coach. I would give that up to my wife. I'd sit with my daughter and coach and let the wife ride up front. I would if one of us got upgraded.
Okay.
Particularly on the way home from vacation. On the way there when I'm drinking, that might be a different story.
So is that how you'd sell it? Honey, I'll have first class on the way here. Okay, but on the way back, you'll have first class.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. That you know what? That's a decent negotiation. That's I could go for that. I have to admit, he seemed like the kind of guy who was not giving her first class on the other way of the trip either. I'm the man of this family. I'm the boss. Really? You're the boss. Okay.
You got to try. I mean, if you can get first, David, I'm telling you, if only one of you can have first class, it's like that Seinfeld episode. Someone's got to take it.
Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And that's right. Final weekday of the year, we're doing a show. Monday's January 2nd. You know what we're doing? We're doing a show.
Too much going on.
Too much football going on.
Darn right.
Let's be honest. If this was, May, June, July, you're taking time off. But we do have a lot going on.
But the bowl games yesterday, Florida State with a great win.
That was a good game, wasn't it?
It was a good game.
That was a good game. Both
And it was
teams
a good
were
win
engaged.
for Florida State.
Yep. Both teams were engaged, and quite frankly, you watched Oklahoma play that game, and you said, "How the heck did you guys go 6-6?"
Be tough sledding when they get to a real conference.
Oh, hey, I'll tell you what, though. I think Oklahoma did Florida State a favor. In fact, there was a part of me as I'm watching the game in which I'm going, this might be better for FSU if they lose. Because I thought for large parts of that game, Mark, Oklahoma pushed Florida State around. And if you're going to take it to the 9-10 win season, that's nice. Top 15 ranking, that's nice. You want to go after Clemson. Okay, you can't be pushed around in any game.
particularly in the first half. I thought Florida State woke up a little bit the game, but I mean, early on in that game, they realized Oklahoma came to play. And I think that's what engaged Florida State early. Not that they weren't going to play hard, but Oklahoma kind of came out and decided, hey, we're not soft.
And we're not a 6-6 team either. We're kind of angry at ourselves. We're going to take it out on you. So, good bowl game. We got 5 of them today. We got the semis over the weekend. Oh, yeah, we got that NFL thing going on. We may have a few guests about, the semis and the NFL thing. If that's okay.
Sounds like a plan to me. We'll check in with TCU and Michigan before the show is over. Pat Kirwan, as always, to join us on a Friday to discuss everything National Football League right here on Miller and Moulton. You're listening to the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Loved the responses about Felipe's parking. Loved it. That was funny. Rick in Lehigh. He parks like my wife. That's funny.
Oh, come on. TCU, do what Central Michigan did last night. Let's go.
Woo-wee. Pennies in the vending machine. That was funny. God, Felipe, that was like your...
He's not here. He leaves the entire break now. I don't know what it is he does.
Maybe he's cooking chicken and pasta.
Probably.
I still have the show on Twitch when I leave, and I walk around whenever I'm tired. I walk outside.
Turn the lights on. You
lights
work in
are
the
on.
dark.
Like these lights?
Yeah. You literally sit in the dark and wonder why you fall asleep. You sit in a black studio for 4 hours.
By myself.
No, I'm right here, but you're sitting in the dark.
You're on the other side of the glass. You can't slap me from there.
That almost sounds like a challenge, Felipe.
I know.
Mark could give me a signal like just keep Phil till I get back, and I could do 30 seconds. He can get up, walk around, snap out of it, come back in, sit down, go, okay, I'm back. Yeah, Klecko, Kentucky, and Louisville, I think, play tomorrow.
What a game.
Wow. I thought Kentucky was supposed to be really good this year, too. But sometimes John Cal,
10 seconds.
he takes a while.
Yep.
Figuring his chemistry out.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from El Paso, site of the Sun Bowl. UCLA and Pitt, one of 5 bowl games today. Get the national semis tomorrow, the NFL on Sunday. And Mark, you know what else you're going to get tonight, tomorrow, maybe even into Sunday and Monday? Top 10 stories of 2022. Sports, news, business, life, entertainment. Oh, you're going to get your lists, Mark. You want lists. They're coming at you.
You're going to be all over it then, because Meghan and Harry will make every one of those lists on the entertainment side. I mean, you could be locked into e-television for a marathon session tomorrow.
I know. It's just a matter of, will, Bill and Kate also be on the list? I know. And you know what? Harry could make the list again next year because his book doesn't come out for another week. I do love the title, Spare. Diana needed to produce an heir and a spare. Harry is the spare. William is the heir.
We got it.
Yeah,
we got it.
Just wanted to channel my inner BBC. Okay. Starting 5 coming up. I'll lose the voice, I promise.
You go down this road and it is you don't turn back, no matter what.
No. I mean, I watched Suits. I saw her on the Howie show there when she was, spinning things. I even saw her in a Hallmark special, Mark. Yep. Been a fan for a long time. I'm hooked. I need to snap out of it.
Like no addiction you've ever had before, you need to snap out of it. In
You know
fact,
what?
if you were to have a New Year's resolution for 2023, you told me a while ago to dump news. I
Right.
listened to you. I
Mhm.
think I'm better off for not being so consumed by news anymore. It doesn't mean I'm not paying attention, don't know what's going on in the world, but I'm not consumed by it anymore. You
Mhm.
seem consumed by the Royals.
Very curious.
I think you need to take a break.
It's so harmless though. That's the other thing. I mean, there's other addictions out there that can really get you in a lot of trouble. I think this is completely harmless, except for you. You have to put up with me talking about it. So that's why
Yeah.
that's why you're sending me to Royal Rehab.
I'm doing it for the audience. For the audience, not so much for me. If
Okay.
you want to, at 10 o'clock, have a little 5-minute Royal rundown, we can do that every day. It can be a Twitch-only segment.
Well, folks, I think we know where Mark's going in 2023. Listen, I just need to get Moulton and Felipe to do their NBA and Royal talk from 10 to 10:15. Only do it on Twitch and do it when I'm gone.
Put it this way, I'll take the NBA over the Royals. Close. Not the Kansas City Royals, mind you.
How about the Cincinnati Royals from back in the day? No?
Ooh.
Oscar Robertson.
There you go. There you go. Luka's putting up Oscar Robertson-like numbers right now with what he's doing with the triple doubles on a nightly basis.
Boy, what a slacker last night. Only 35. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, he had 60 the game before. I mean, yeah. 8th triple-double of the season for Luka last night. Leads the league. I will say, though, who else on the team? No, seriously. Who else on the team? That's why he's amazing. I don't know how they're going to challenge for anything for the next couple years. He needs a Robin. They thought Porzingis was going to be the Robin. They bailed on him. Then Brunson was being, I don't know, kind of a Robin. He left in free agency. I mean, Mark, every Batman needs a Robin.
You're right. And sometimes you need a Robin and a Wonder Woman or something. You need a third.
Yes.
I mean, it's.
Yes. Thank you.
Or
right.
at least an Alfred.
At this point, Jason Kidd should suit up. That'll be his Robin.
Yeah, I don't laugh. But, Mark, it's kind of like Harry and Meghan. I mean, even they can use a butler. Come on, it was too easy.
Did it again. He did it again. There it is. But you're right. Dallas is playing their tails off. They've won 5 in a row. That got them to like 5th in the conference.
Yep.
And they're not going to sustain winning at this rate because they're not that good. They have one great player. And if he's not doing this, that seems that they can't win. I mean, that's the other side of it. They've got to get these performances out of him to be competitive.
Once again, 60, 21, and 10 to barely beat the Knicks at home.
Yeah.
A crippled New York Knicks team who did not have arguably their best player, Jalen Brunson.
Right. They didn't have 2 of their top 3 players. I know. So, but also it shows you how really in that league, like you said, Mark, they've climbed their way all the way up to 5th in the West. I mean, literally, it seems as if most of the league is just mailing it in so far. As if the entire league is like, hey, can you tell us when the Super Bowl's over? Because then our All-Star games either like right before it, right after it. And then, okay, we'll start to take this thing seriously. I mean, don't you get the feeling it's that way with the Heat? I mean, that the Heat are like, come on.
I think this whole league's figured it out. I think
Yeah.
load management started it, and they realized that home court doesn't matter the way it once maybe did, and just getting into the tournament's all that really matters, and playing hard for that last month before the tournament. I worked in minor league hockey for a long time, and the first year that I was in Southwest Florida, our captain was a guy by the name of Pat Mickish. And he played in Orlando for an NHL coach at one time, and they were an IHL team at AAA level. And he always joked, hard every night, except for game 52. You can take game 52 off, because he had a coach that would just, it's game 52, guys, don't worry about it. It's like the NBA right now is playing every game like it's game 52.
Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So just be prepared for a lot of lists, top 10 stories in sports in 2022. And I don't know about you, but I'm having trouble remembering past the middle of last week.
Well, that's why I like these lists. It reminds me what happened over the course of the last year. Because you know me, David, I'm a guy that's moving forward. When the game's over, I'm done with it pretty quickly. What's next?
In fact, Pele's passing yesterday may make a lot of lists if the lists weren't done before yesterday. Arguably the greatest soccer player ever. And I think it's inarguable that, he had the biggest influence in the sport.
And by most would say it's tough to argue that he's not the best player of all time. It's not arguably to a lot of people. It's also inarguable.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that left-footed guy for Argentina there, if how close is he to the great Pele after what he just pulled off at 35?
Close, but he didn't win 3. Didn't do it at 17. The other things that you're not. And he didn't do it for all these moves, all these great moves, all the trend setting. Pele was first.
Well, and also, Mark, you and I are hockey fans. And back in the day when Pele played football or soccer, you could do anything. You could grab him, you could tackle him, and what have you. There were very few penalties called. He did all his goal scoring in a day and age in which clutching and grabbing was absolutely allowed. So it's literally like Pele was Gordie Howe, if you know what I mean. He did all the scoring when you could commit felonies on the ice and get back up and continue.
Miller and Moulton. Great show lined up for you today. We'll get into the college football semifinals later on, but the starting 5 is next, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Arch, believe it or not, part of the reason that I eat in the morning is I have to take my medicine. I can't take it on an empty stomach.
So there, damn it.
So like the last 2 days, I when I was in Fort Myers and I was staying in a hotel, I just got up and went and got breakfast. Took my medicine and then came into the studio and just drank water to the show. But now, should I be making healthier choices? Oh, God, yeah. I'm just jerking your bobber.
Man, what mother-in-law took us out to dinner last night. Some of the best people watching I've had in a while.
Really?
Well, this couple comes in, younger, on a date, I think. She's pretty attractive. And apparently my mother-in-law said, because their backs were to me, he's on his phone whole time. It was her birthday. He gets some birthday thing. She looked absolutely disgusted that they made a deal out of her birthday. There's only about 12 tables in the whole restaurant. And it was pretty funny. Pretty funny. Blanc. Probably might be my favorite in Fort Myers. Either that or Harold's.
So she's trying to get home today, right? Well, Southwest is supposedly back to quote unquote normal today.
Yeah.
It was weird to see those Southwest jets just parked there and all the Southwest flights on the board yesterday canceled. That's why United called me yesterday about 3 hours for my flight. They're like, "Hey, are you flexible?" I'm like, "No." And
Inflexible, actually, if you want to know the truth.
And obviously what they're trying to do is they've got all those Southwest customers that, they could charge $1,500 for the flight to Houston as opposed to the flight that's booked with me where they're getting $300 to $400.
$15 seconds.
Okay. All right. Guess we're doing this.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Landry Burdine, TCU Radio, to join us at the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan at 8. And
it's Eastern time, right? The TCU guy there?
I know.
Wow.
Yep. I'm with you.
I'm a fan already.
I'm with you. And I don't even know if we're getting them in Phoenix, at which point it'd be 5 a.m. You know,
Right.
Be like it is here in El Paso. So we did Georgia and Ohio State on Wednesday. We're doing TCU Michigan today, our national semifinal previews. We'll have our picks on the game coming up next hour. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, they actually went through and played the NFL game last night, Mark. I mean, Tennessee sat out 11 starters, and they sent Joshua Dobbs under center as quarterback for the game. I mean, we said it had the feel of a preseason game. I don't even think it was the vaunted second or third preseason game. But Dallas took care of business. Dak was okay, 282 and 2 touchdowns, both of them the Dalton Schultz,
2 picks.
Right. Yeah.
That's 5 times the guy's had 2 turnovers in a game, and he's not played the whole season. That is not good.
No. And Cowboys fan is wondering, is that going to show up in the playoffs? Because it has a couple times. And yet, Mark, despite their imperfections, the Cowboys are 12-4.
Yep.
They beat Tennessee 27-13, so that was a win and a cover, and I believe an over. Wasn't the over-under like 38.5, 39, 39.5? Anyway.
I think you're right, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me. Give me.
Titans have lost 6 in a row.
40.5 was the final.
Oh, look at that.
Final number.
Oh, what a bad beat. Titans have lost 6 in a row, but doesn't matter. They go to Jacksonville a week from Sunday or maybe a week from Saturday. We don't know. The NFL hasn't let anybody know the schedule for next week yet. It's not like people have plans.
I know our bosses want us to have this watch party next week for the Dolphins game. We don't know when it's going to be played. Can we just do a 1 o'clock watch party?
And they're like, what do you mean we don't know when it's going to be played? We're like, don't know what to tell you. The whole week 18 is TBA. One other NFL note from yesterday, Jalen Hurts practiced.
Yes.
Now, apparently he didn't go full bore, but he was seen throwing the ball around on a Thursday. That leads me to believe, Mark, he's going to play. Just saying, and in theory, beat the Saints, clinch the 1, and not play the regular season finale against the Giants. Everybody, of course, making, what if he goes 3-4 weeks without playing before the playoffs? Well, what happens when guys are hurt late in the regular season and they go 3-4 weeks without playing before the playoffs? I mean, he'll be fine, right?
Well, I do think it's a little different with your quarterback than it is with other players coming off of an injury. You do want a little more timing, but I'm with you. They're saying that he might play this Sunday, and I think they'd like to get the 1 wrapped up as well.
Well, if you practice on Thursday, usually you're playing on Sunday. So the Cheez-It Bowl, Mark, good game. Dare I say a very good game.
Really good game.
Florida State came from behind, trailed 14-3 early, trailed by 7 early fourth quarter, then had a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter, which they quickly gave up. But they had the ball darn near last. Drove down the field with a big play. kicked a 32-yard field goal, did Ryan Fitzgerald, with 55 seconds to go. Knowles won 10 games this year. That'll work. They'll be close to a final top 10 ranking. Now, ask the Gator fans about what those backdoor top 10 rankings do, because Dan Mullen was great at those, and that doesn't guarantee you a damn thing. Oklahoma, meanwhile, finished 6-7 on the season. That's a hell of a first year. You're coaching Oklahoma.
They haven't had a losing season in a long, long time.
Well, they do now. Pinstripe Bowl, Minnesota with the win, Syracuse with the cover.
And one of the great backdoor covers I've ever seen, because Syracuse fumbled the ball driving in for the backdoor cover score, but a penalty negated the play, and a big run back by Minnesota, which had their defense gassed and allowed Syracuse to punch one in late in the game for the backdoor cover.
I have no idea if it was a legitimate penalty or whether or not the official had Syracuse in 11. I have no idea. But anyway, Minnesota 28-20, and the Gophers finished with a 9-win season. Alamo Bowl, we wondered, why is Texas favored again? I know they've got the name, but Washington won 10 games in the regular season. Washington had their quarterback say, yeah, I'm going to play the bowl game. And then 10 other guys said, well, then we'll play it too. Well, Texas had like 10 guys opt out of the bowl game. And Washington was the better team in the regular season, yet Texas was favored. Washington beat Texas 27-20 in the Alamo Bowl. That's an 11-win season for the Washington Huskies. Remember that team's name next year for the playoff. The Washington Huskies. I'm just saying. 5 bowl games today, including, Mark, the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
My favorite. Someone's going to get covered in mayonnaise.
Maryland and NC
It's the
State.
proper mayonnaise. There is no better mayonnaise than Duke's mayonnaise. I just want that to be laid out there right now.
And you know what? There was competition for the best bowl name today. I mean, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I mean, come on. That's solid.
It's great.
There you go. No. Got the Gator Bowl. I don't even want to mention the sponsor's name. It's the Gator Bowl, okay? That's what it is. Ever since Woody punched that Clemson linebacker, it's the Gator Bowl, all right? It's the Barstool Arizona Bowl. It kind of lets you know, I mean, that's a really sexy matchup, Ohio and Wyoming.
I know who Moulton's taking in that game.
I may surprise you. And I'll tell you what, on paper, it's a pretty sexy Orange Bowl. Do you know this is only the second time Tennessee and Clemson have played since the Ford administration?
I'm not surprised.
For goodness sakes, they're border states.
I understand that, but
are you serious?
they don't play it on continent. Come on.
What's it, a 3-hour drive?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Seriously? Tennessee and Clemson in the Orange Bowl tonight. There were 6 games in the NBA. The most noteworthy, this Luka Doncic guy is worth paying attention to on a nightly basis. He had 35 last night and his 8th triple-double of the season. And Dallas beat Houston by 15. We said the game of the night would be in Boston. We were actually right about something. Celtics beat the Clippers 116-110. And the up-and-down Knicks. I mean, it was just a week or so ago. They'd won 8 straight. Now they've lost 5 in a row, including 122-115 defeat in San Antonio last night. College hoops, Mark. Told you FAMU would cover. Getting 37.5. They only lost by 33. Come on now. To number 1 and unbeaten Purdue, 82-49. Nobody beats the Rattlers by 38, okay?
There you go.
That's disrespectful. Biggest surprise of the night in college hoops, and there were some upsets, but Central Michigan beat Michigan at Michigan.
They were a 21-point dog in that game?
Say it again. Central Michigan beat Michigan in men's college basketball at Michigan 63-61.
Fire up chips.
FIU a winner. South Florida and Memphis played a hell of a game last night. Memphis came out on top 93-86. FAU continues their terrific season. They beat North Texas. Bethune lost to Illinois. Women's college basketball. Miami gave 5th-ranked Notre Dame all they could handle, but lost 66-63. Florida State upset 13th-ranked North Carolina by 7. UCF a winner. Florida a loser. FAMU a loser. FAU and FGCU winners on the women's side. Hockey, ton of games. We'll tell you about 3 of them. Lightning in a shootout beat the Rangers 2-1. That had a playoff feel.
Yeah, they swallowed the whistles in that game. I mean, they refereed that game like it was a playoff game. It was played like it was a playoff game. Everything about that game was delicious.
The Florida Panthers finally showed up. And you know who showed up first? Barkov. Had a first-period hat trick. 7-2 Panthers over the Canadians last night. And Ovi scored his 803rd goal, but Ottawa beat Washington in overtime to snap the Caps' 5-game winning streak. Major League Baseball, Mark. This, I think, a bigger story than is going to get attention. 10 umpires retiring, 7 of them crew chiefs. Now, if you think about it, you got to have at least 15 crews because everybody's playing. But, I mean, think about that. Basically, half the crew chiefs retired.
Right.
Or are retiring.
And we already thought umpiring was not great. And you're losing guys, some of which are really well respected in the game.
Well, I have to admit, I think baseball umpiring's never been better. Okay, I really think this is Angel Hernandez is killing the reputation of the umpires as a whole. There's like 3 umpires that are bringing all the rest of them down. I think they do a better job behind the plate than they ever have before. They're not perfect. You can still make the argument like you do. You want the computerized thing. I get it. Okay.
Then we could have it perfect. But why bother with that?
Well,
let's leave it up to a human when we can fix it.
No, listen, Manfred's on your side. He's working towards this. He's going to ram this through. You're going to get your wish, Mark. This commissioner is working for you. He is. He's listening to you. But one of those crew chiefs, by the way, lives in Southwest Florida, Sam Holbrook. So he's retiring. Take care of his kids. Had a nice career. We mentioned it earlier. Pele passed away yesterday. Not a surprise. He had been sick with cancer for over a year. He had been hospitalized for over a month. The family had gathered around him before Christmas. The king, as he was called in soccer circles, led Brazil to 3 World Cups. The first as a teenager when he was 17, and he scored 2 in the final in a true road game. They beat Sweden in Sweden to win the World Cup. Then he was part of the 62 team, and then he was the star on the 1970 team. He won 3 World Cups before he was 30. The king, who scored over 1,000 goals in his career. Pele passed away at the age of 82. I saw him with the Cosmos. I did. They played it. They played a few games at Yankee Stadium, but I saw him with the Cosmos at Giants Stadium. I was like 11 or 12. And they were a big deal. I mean, they would sell out Giants Stadium 75,000.
You know, I was pretty young, but I mean, I remember Wide World of Sports showing Pele when the Cosmos, I mean, that was the first attempt.
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to bring America up with the rest of the world in soccer, and it was Pele that was going to do it.
And I reached out to Vern Lundquist when I heard the news because Vern's first big network break was he was the sideline reporter on ABC's soccer coverage on the A team. And so I said, hey, Pele. And he said, I have a photo of him. Okay, we did some NASL games, and he actually, in games he wasn't playing in, if he was at the game, he would come to the booth and help us broadcast the games. And Vern says, I have a lot of memorabilia. One of my most treasured pieces is a picture of me and Pele. Pele was 82. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So 5 bowl games today: the Duke's Mayo, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Gator Bowl, Barstool Bowl, Orange Bowl. Starting early. I think this is a noon to midnight day, isn't it?
I believe you are right. Maryland, North Carolina State for all the Mayo at noon. And we finish with the Orange Bowl with 3 in the middle of that. Tennessee and Clemson, the nightcap in the Orange Bowl.
So there you go. I mean, come on. Most of you aren't working today. You're mailing it in. You're already thinking about it. You're going to make it to lunch. Miller and Moulton. All right, let's preview this TCU-Michigan game. Shall we? That's coming up next.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So backwards state law of the day goes to Texas. They can't sell alcohol on Sundays. But when the state holiday falls on a Sunday, they also can't sell alcohol on Mondays. So if you're in Texas, David, so if people in Texas have till tomorrow to get their booze for the next 3 days, since the New Year falls on Sunday, by law, the liquor stores have to stay closed on Monday too.
Oh, snap.
Same thing for Christmas happened.
Oh, my goodness. The lines at the liquor store tomorrow are going to be epic.
Now, I don't know if that's beer sales too. I doubt it, but that's reason number 784 why I like the Sunshine State. We just don't have laws here.
There's a lot of material off that statement. A lot of material. Good comedian would do a half hour off that statement.
And a bad one could do 12 minutes.
Exactly.
You know, we have a guest here, Felipe.
Well, Spitz, I'm in downtown, which I'm not usually. I will say this hotel was hopping. They had a big bar restaurant in the middle of it. They had a band going full bore last night.
The Sun Bowl.
When I checked in at 9:30. Damn right, Mark. By the way, our next guest played in the Sun Bowl.
Former
Landry
TCU player.
Burdine.
Okay.
You didn't work at this hotel, Spitz. This is a new hotel, is what I'm told.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm in El Paso, getting ready for Pitt and UCLA in the Sun Bowl. Mark in the cozy confines of the 239. Our next guest, Mark, played in the Sun Bowl. He's Landry Burdine. He's part of the TCU radio network. He captained the TCU team in the Sun Bowl. Landry, it's David and Mark. First off, thanks so much for your time. Secondly, an early Happy New Year. And third, do you remember the Sun Bowl fondly?
Well, Happy New Year to you guys as well. And my goodness, yes, I remember this Sun Bowl fondly. We were 1-10 the year prior. And when we made it out to El Paso, nobody gave us a chance. I think we were 19-point underdogs to the Carson Palmer-led USC Trojans that season. They had a linebacker named Chris Claiborne that had won the buckets that year. And at halftime, we were up 21-0, and we wound up winning 28-19. And that was the first bowl win in 50 years in TCU history, and they've never looked back. So, yeah, that was a big one for us.
Landry, it's not from 1-11, but 5-7 a year ago. Nobody was predicting this for TCU. Was this a perfect storm, or was there anything you saw coming before the season that would lead you to think that these high, lofty goals that TCU has already reached could happen?
Well, it depends on, when you ask that question. If it were, in January of last year, I'd have told you there's no chance. When we got through spring and then through fall camp, I was kind of like, this team's actually pretty good. You can tell, if you've got some weapons and on the offensive side of the ball, I got to tell you, you looked around and they had so many seniors at key positions and guys that could really play. Man, they might actually contend. I don't think anybody knew they were going to go undefeated. If they tell you that, they're lying to you. But, I think that the consensus was you knew this could be a pretty good football team, but, installing a brand new offense and installing a brand new defense, you just didn't know. And, but obviously worked out pretty good.
Landry Burdine, part of the TCU Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at Landry Burdine, Burdine. Well, we all know about the quarterback. First off, was he this good all along and we just weren't paying attention, or did he also take his game to a new level?
Yeah, no, I'd be lying to you if I said he was. I mean, there's a reason that he lost the quarterback battle coming out of camp. I mean, the Max Duggan has always been the best competitor on the team and really on the field every time he steps on it. But his accuracy and his touch on the football wasn't where it needed to be. And, that was kind of the knock on him, right? He could throw howitzer missiles every time he threw the football. The problem was that he did every time he threw the football. And so what he became was a really good touch passer, and nobody really saw that coming, and that's a credit to him and how hard he worked in the offseason. And it's really a credit to this offensive staff, Sonny Dykes and Garrett Riley, and how they've developed him. Man, I got to tell you, that's really one of the biggest surprises to me this season was the first few deep balls he threw. You're like, wow, where's that been? But he's always had the arm strength, but the accuracy and the touch is what's really developed and what's really made him a complete quarterback.
Michigan scored on big plays against Ohio State, but ultimately they lined it up and tried to pound the Buckeyes. TCU has struggled at times defensively. Are they up for the challenge physically, and how will they handle Michigan's offense, who's going to try to run the ball down their throat?
Yeah, I think we can put that to rest. TCU's ready for that. I mean, Texas, that's probably a really good comparison, right? I mean, Texas has one of the biggest offensive lines in the country. They got the best running back in the country, Bijan Robinson. And, TCU held him to 19 yards at Texas. And so, they've faced some really good running backs, and they've shown well. And, they give up a lot of yards sometimes and early in games when they're trying to figure out how they're being attacked. But you really can't argue with the second half adjustments in games. I mean, they've been phenomenal in the second half of just about every game they've played. And, that's just kind of part of it. You may see them bend a little bit early, but this is a really tough, physical, senior-led football team. And that's one of the things I think people sleep on is the experience that this group has. When you got a bunch of older guys that have, been through a lot, they don't tend to panic, right? And they kind of stick to the plan, and that really it really epitomizes this TCU football team.
Well, Landry, it's impressed all of us. I don't know if there's a team in the country which played with more poise this year. All the close games that they were in, they never once panicked, came from behind to win all but one of them. I mean, TCU has been very impressive, but this is a new stage. And we saw it last year in this game, Landry, when Michigan was kind of freaked out in the first half against Georgia and never recovered. Do you think that TCU handles the moment? They handled the first quarter well.
Yeah, man, that's the question, right? Because you're dealing, I mean, at the end of the day, you are dealing with some kids in some cases. And, and that's a big environment, man. I mean, my whole family's with me, and we're driving to the airport. We're in Orlando and fixing to head to Phoenix. And, I've got twin 15-year-old sons and an 18-year-old daughter that were up and excited at 6 in the morning. So, if that doesn't tell you anything about the moment, they're the age of a lot of these kids. So that's the one thing that you just don't know. There's a lot of intangibles like that you can't pinpoint. And, I think they will, though, man. And really because of the leadership of guys like Max Duggan, guys like Les Harris, who's just a grinder. I don't know if he gets excited about anything other than hunting, or food. And, I mean, it's just, I think that they probably will. And, the more you're around these guys like Quentin Johnston and Trey Tomlinson, and they're really quiet leaders. They lead with their pads. They lead with their example. And those are the guys, in my experience, that tend to handle situations like this. The guys that are loud and like to talk and, pound their chest all the time, sometimes those guys, when they get punched in the mouth, don't handle it real well. And, that's not this group. So I'm hopeful, man. I really am. I think they're going to show well.
What's the style of game TCU needs to win?
It's the same as Michigan, to be honest with you. They're going to try to pound the rock, too. I mean, if you look at everybody thought Blake Corum, and heck of a player, right? Everybody thought Blake Corum was the best running back in the country. But if you put Kendre Miller's stats right next to his, they're better. And Kendre Miller is a guy that has probably 85% of his yards after contact. He's just a bull-nosed, just hard-nosed runner, and he's fast. So once he breaks through, he can break it loose. And TCU has imposed their will on teams in the second half of games as well. So that's going to be the key, man. Can TCU hit a big play every now and then like they've done, especially early? And then once they get that leader, they're going to be able to impose their will on Michigan. That's going to be hard. Michigan's big. They're mean. They're tough. I mean, they're 13-0 for a reason. Guys, it's not easy to win 13 football games. I don't care who you're playing. So, that's why this is such a good matchup. And I would argue this is probably the best matchup, the most equal matchup of teams in any bowl game, including the playoffs, that I've seen in a really long time. And I do a lot of other bowl games, too, for, the Bowl Radio Season Network. And, man, this matchup is just fascinating to me. It should be a really, really good football game.
Landry Burdine, TCU Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at Landry Burdine, Burdine. Final one for me, Landry, and thanks for making time for us as you head to the airport. Is there a part of TCU that is a soft spot? I mean, this isn't 95 Nebraska or 01 Miami. All of the teams in this year's playoff have a soft spot. If TCU has one, where do you believe it is?
Man, that's a really good question. I would say that where they have struggled sometimes is making adjustments early in games and in both the run game and the passing game on defense. If there's a soft spot, that's it. The linebackers sometimes have struggled when they're facing play action teams. As they run the play action, maybe they're not getting in their zone drops, and teams are having success kind of dumping off crossing routes and stuff underneath against them. And then the flip side of that is, when they're slower to go to the run because they're trying to maintain the pass coverage, they don't play the run as well early. And so that's the thing that you probably ought to look at is are they going to struggle early to the point where the game gets away from them? And can the offense keep up if that's the case? I mean, that's been the case so far this year. But, yeah, if there's a soft spot, I'd say it's kind of there in the middle. The linebackers for TCU are phenomenal, but there's a lot asked of them. And so, yeah, that could be a concern for sure, because I can tell you they're going to have their ears pinned back to come downhill and try to stop the run. With J.J. McCarthy and his scrambling ability, that could be a real challenge for him.
Landry, thanks for making time for us. Safe travels for you and the family. Once again, Happy New Year. Best of luck to your Horned Frogs there, and hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we'll do it next week, right? You guys have a Happy New Year and go Frogs.
Landry Burdine, TCU Radio, played for him, as you heard. You could just hear through his voice, get the sense of the excitement of the family. Because this is a whole other
fan base, which is what we talked about. How will they handle? And he admitted it. He doesn't know how they'll handle the moment. Michigan did not handle the moment a year ago very well. How will TCU handle the moment? I thought you were right, spot on, David. First quarter. How do they come out and handle this game, this stage?
Like if you were to pull Sonny Dykes aside and say, hey, all right, 7-3 Michigan after the first quarter, you got the ball on your own 30. Would you take it? And I think he would. I think he'd be like, oh, yeah, we got through the first quarter, 7-3, feet on the ground. And yeah, okay, sure, let's go. I'll take that.
But this Miller kid that he was talking about, 1,300 yards, averages 6 a carry, had 17 touchdowns. He's no joke in the backfield for TCU.
So, and we've seen Texas a lot this year. They've had a lot of nationally televised games, including the bowl game last night. They are big. They can pound the rock. 17 yards rushing against TCU. So, styles make a fight. Apparently, this is big brother, little brother, right? Two teams play the exact same way. One of them's got the rep. The other one doesn't.
Well, you know my thoughts on the whole big brother, little brother thing when it comes to a certain school in Ann Arbor.
You think there's a reason why I led into you like that? Come on now. Give me a little credit.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. Still some NFL talk and the Michigan rundown ahead on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Works for me.
Does that work?
Yeah, it works for me. I did something today, David, that I've never done in my life. Ever. Before the show. When I tweeted out the show, I, did the hashtag Go Frogs. So it puts the little frog on there. I also did the hashtag Go Blue because it puts the M on there. Probably the first time I've ever typed those 6 letters together in my life.
Oh my goodness. I know it's a short drive, but I'm surprised you didn't wrap your truck around something.
No, I did it here. I was already.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. I sat there and I went, I know it's Go Blue for that damn M, but I try to do that thinking if someone goes on and looks for hashtags and sees that there's an interview, they may listen to the show.
Now, Spitz, I went straight to bed. I mean, I got here at about 10 o'clock. Remember, it's 10 o'clock Mountain Time. And, the show starts at 4 a.m. Mountain Time. So, no, plus, I got a sleep machine. And so I got to, set up the room and no, do the starting 5, go to bed. No. I would say I got the perfect room. First one off the elevator, and I'm facing the elevator. So all my sound my bluster is not going to bother anybody. I was really worried about that. At 4 a.m., how the heck are you?
The leader of Scientology has gone missing? Huh. I like the guy that was opposing Putin jumped off of a third-story building while on vacation in India or wherever it was.
Wow.
And the other guy, like his partner or whatever, it was a sausage tycoon. Like it's, like
right.
Ferris Bueller's, but it's funny. But yeah, and the other guy died last week too. Huh.
Wow.
Right.
What is this, the Kennedy assassination? We are at, this may not be a new hotel. Maybe it's just a new hotel for us at CBS. But we are at, and doesn't this sound great? The Hotel Paso del Norte. I don't know what that means, but it sounds nice. Their stationery says dry, air conditioned. The Hotel
Pass of the North, David. That's what that means.
Pass of the North?
Yes.
Paso del Norte, Norte. It is very nice. El Paso has a very nice downtown. And it was alive last night. It was jumping. The lobby is just off the hotel bar restaurant, which had the band going and what have you. And so you're checking in, and the lady behind the counter, she's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to check in. The name is Moulton."
Wait, so you said that the bowl game that Landry played against Carson Palmer, that was the Sun Bowl?
He claims it was. It was the 98 Sun Bowl. Would have been Palmer's freshman year, I think.
Wow, I'm not even able to get in my Hooters talk today.
Hooters?
Yeah. That was the big thing. Millennials don't like boobs, so Hooters is closing locations. That was the big story out yesterday.
Was that real?
No.
I didn't think so.
Hooters had some funny tweets, though.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Just got done doing a little TCU preview. And let's face it, of the four teams marked, that's the team we probably all know the least about. And they are the biggest underdog of the two at a whopping 7.5. Ohio State, a 6.5-point dog. So, basically 2 7-point games. And what wouldn't we sign up for to get that tomorrow? 2 7-point national semifinals. I mean, they've been playing this format since 2014. This is, I think, the 9th year that they've done the semis and then the final. So we've had 16 previous semis. I think only 4 of them have been decided by less than 10. I mean, we do not get good semis.
We've had great finals.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had some really memorable championship games. Or just some memorable performances and a team pulling away to win comfortably, whether it was, Alabama's 2020 team or Joe Burrow and the 2019 LSU team. But can we get a good semi? Michigan, TCU. Did our previous guests sell you that TCU is going to be able to stand up and go toe-to-toe? Did Landry Burdine, the former TCU captain, sell you that TCU is up to it?
Oh, he sold me that they're up to it. But I just think this Michigan team is a better football team. I think they have more ways to win. Their skilled position players, to me, are better. I don't know if the quarterback's better. That's the one thing I will say. I think this quarterback for TCU is the X factor, that he's going to have a magical performance for TCU to win. But at the end of the day, I think Michigan is going to be too strong in the trenches. I know it was Texas, and they do have a big line, but we're talking about Texas. We're not talking about Michigan. Texas is an above average football team. Michigan is an exceptional football team. I think Michigan runs and hides in this game. I think it'll be close, 7 points at halftime, and I think Michigan will just methodically wear them down, and by the end of the game, they're going to beat them by 2 scores.
I think it's a good game. I'm a little shaky about the cover because you can always have the late score that can take a 1-score game and make it a 10, 11 point margin. But here's why I think it's going to be a good game, Mark. Illinois defended Michigan and defended them really well. And Purdue hung around for a long time against Michigan. And Michigan has superior talent to Purdue. I mean, Mark, remember what we were saying about Michigan going into the Ohio State game? I mean, and if you look at the game, if you take 5 plays away, all of the concerns we had about Michigan, we would have been talking about after the game. So of the 70 plays they ran, okay, they hit 5 that they basically hadn't hit much all year. I actually think TCU stays around. They hang around. I really do. I agree with you. I think Michigan wins. I would reluctantly lay the points. I think they get the late score to win by 10, 11, or 14, something like that. But, Mark, I actually think we get a good first semifinal. A better one than we expect.
Half, and maybe even a good third quarter. Michigan all year, for the most part, has pulled away from teams in the fourth quarter. And I think they do that again against TCU. And, hey, if that's the case, if we enter the fourth quarter with the game, we've got what we wanted.
Oh, my goodness. Would we take that? 2017 Michigan at this early fourth? Oh, my goodness. Sign up right now. Michigan fans going, what are you talking about? I'm not signing up for that. Okay. Ohio State. You know who Ohio State is, Mark? They're Ernie Shavers. You and I love our 70s heavyweight division. Ernie Shavers could knock anybody out. Anybody. All right? Anybody. And that's Ohio State. This quarterback, 2 of those receivers, they can put 4 touchdowns on the board against anybody. They really can, even Georgia. But can they go the 15 rounds?
Because sometimes Ernie Shavers got hit.
And he wore down also.
And when that happened,
right,
it didn't work out as well for him.
Right. And ultimately, that's what I think is going to happen. I actually think Ohio State is going to have the lead in the second half of this game. I just think Georgia is going to physically wear them down. The 2 tight end monster is unbelievably difficult to stop. Schematically and physically. It really is. I could argue it's the perfect offense. 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. I don't know if you can stop that offense with the same level of talent as any other offensive scheme you want to put out there. And so I have my doubts still about Stetson Bennett. That's a me thing. But I'm taking Georgia, and the fact that it's under 7, I'll take them to cover.
I'll take the Buckeyes and the points.
Look at you.
I think Georgia wins, but I think this is a great game. The point that you make about the tight ends is where it'll be in the fourth quarter, because what I'm wondering most about is that Ohio State, when they were giving up those chunk plays against Michigan, and then Michigan dominates in the second half late in the game and starts beating up on Ohio State. They've had 5 weeks of which they've been called soft. And there's no answer other than that being the truth. I want to see how pissed off the Buckeyes are and see if they can be physical and see if they can handle that 2 tight end set. At the end of the day, I think Georgia wins, but I think we get a great football game. 31-28, 31-27, something like that. Give me the Dogs in a close one, but I think Ohio State covers.
I got 31-20 Michigan, 38-28 Georgia. Both good games, though. Both covers late. And boy, would we take that compared to what we usually get in the semis. This is our friendly reminder. College football is playing their national semifinals this weekend. You may have forgotten that with all the NFL talk of the last 3 weeks.
That's our public service announcements brought to you by the NCAA.
All right, Felipe, I have to admit, kind of curious where you're going to go for the pod.
I mean, there was a bowl game last night, and a pretty big bowl game last night, and it was filled with Cheez-Its. And there was a big play in that bowl game. Jordan Travis, 2nd and 8, long pass to set up what would be the game-winning field goal.
Travis takes a shot down the sideline, looking for Wilson. He's got it! All the way down inside the 20. Over the top of Justin Broyles.
It was 32-all at the time, under 3 minutes to go. Florida State manages the clock, kicks the game-winning field goal with under a minute to play. Knowles cap off a 10-win season, 35-32. In the Cheez-It Bowl, hello.
Gotta love the Cheez-It bath at the end.
Oh.
Absolutely. One of the best baths that there is the Cheez-It bath. Take one every day if I could.
Okay, Mark. Cheez-It Bowl last night, Cheez-It bath. Duke's Mayo Bowl today, Mayo bath.
Great for the coaches. I don't know how much money you'd have to pay me to dump that much mayonnaise on me. It sounds so gross.
They do a mayo bath.
Yes.
They do. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'd rather be like Nickelodeon slimed.
I think I'm with you. I think I'd rather be slimed than mayo bath.
Yeah.
And I like mayonnaise. I do.
Me too. But yeah, it's gross.
That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka. Remember, we're going to have a watch party the last week of the season. Details coming Monday at the Bayfront in Naples. We'll be there for the 1 o'clock games on Sunday with a little Clutch Vodka party going on. That's Clutch with a K, David, Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here. Where else but the Florida Sports Network?
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service e-motorcycles. Check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Now, Watson, Lubin, you're obviously not talking about Miller and Moulton, right? I mean, before I go any further, we just need to clarify, who is y'all?
Wow, that's amazing. The gigantic Michigan fan said Georgia's going to blow out the Buckeyes and Michigan's going to win. Klecko, I'm shocked.
Shocked, I tell you, shocked.
What's next? The Lions are going to win their last two and make the playoffs?
Do we think Washington's going to lose to give Detroit or Green Bay
God, I
a
hope
chance?
so.
I know.
I want, and I don't, but I do and I don't, because just listen to, first off, Ron Rivera, by all accounts, is a really good dude.
And a good man, yes.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't want his decision to be wrong, but what the hell are you thinking putting Carson Wentz in?
So we do our NFL picks here.
Yep.
Can somebody tell me, why is the line on the Giants-Colts game going down? What am I missing? I don't get it.
I think it would be funny if Tampa lost this week and Carolina lost next week for Tampa to get in.
Wow.
Okay, I know Luka Doncic is really good. I hate him.
Why?
He annoys me. The way he looks, his facial expressions.
The way he looks?
The way he looks. I can't stand him. The more I watch him, the more and I know he's really, but I'm good enough. Like, I didn't like Michael Jordan. I know he was the best basketball player ever, but I was a Piston fan. I hated Jordan.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I can say I hate the University of Michigan. It's, they're really good. I don't, he's great. Don't get me wrong. He's spectacular. I hate his face. I hate his looks. I think he should be punched right in the mouth every time I see him. He looks like someone that should be beat up.
Is it because he has that European diva wide receiver in him? I mean, he's kind of a diva.
He is he's not kind of, he is a diva.
But
it has nothing to do with wide receivers, because I like wide receivers.
But man,
I didn't. What part of me saying he's great didn't you understand?
But it's awesome. He can walk the walk and talk the talk.
That's why Mark hates him so.
Man.
The better he gets as a player, the more Mark hates him.
Win a playoff. Going to win a couple rounds in the playoff. Win a championship.
Well, I will say they got to the conference finals last year. I mean,
him and
thing is, I don't know when they're going to seriously contend again.
Good.
He's got no help.
Yeah, him and Spencer Dinwiddie went to the conference finals last year.
Well, no, he had Brunson. I mean, Jalen Brunson was terrific last year.
He was. Yeah, Luka's very cocky and talks a lot of shit.
I don't care about talking. It's his face. It's not even that he's cocky. It's he's got the face of someone that should be punched in the mouth when he makes those facial expressions.
Like
he looks like such a punk.
He smiles.
He's a punk. Is what he is. That's what he is. He's a punk.
Wow.
Come on now.
That SEC me, there you go. That's exactly it. He's not a diva.
Yeah, right. You're crazy. He goes at everyone. He fears no one.
Tell you what, he's not little either.
No, he's fat.
And he's stocky, and yeah. In fact, is Luka beefy?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
yeah, he's beefy for sure. Luka Doncic. All right, here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. First part of this hour, we focused in on the college football semis, specifically TCU and Michigan. We made our picks last segment. Both Miller and Moulton taking the favorites to win, Mark taking Ohio State to cover. And we are both cautiously optimistic that we're going to get two good games. Not, Cheez-It Bowl last night. Although, Mark, you think Georgia Ohio State has a chance to be the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yes, I think that game could be special.
Okay. And that would be awesome. So those are our picks with college. All right, here we are. Week 17, I guess technically it is, of the NFL got underway last night with Dallas taking care of the Titans in what we think is a meaningless game, except for maybe some fantasy stats. A whole lot would have to happen. It'd have to get crazy. A tie would have to take place between Jacksonville or Tennessee, and Philly would have to collapse in order for Dallas to have any real meaning in what they did. But we got a lot of NFL games that do have a lot of meaning, Mark. Let's start with the Dolphins. With Teddy Bridgewater, that's the assumption, till we hear otherwise. Patriots are 2.5-point favorite at home. Dolphins have lost 4 in a row. Does it become 5?
I think it does, David. The Dolphins, with Bridgewater, will not get it done in New England defensively. I think New England will have a good game plan for Teddy, and he'll have a rough game. He'll throw a pick that'll matter, and New England will win a close one.
Patriots, it's a must-win for them. They are 7-8. New England controls their, destiny, if you will. They win out, they're the 7 seed. Period. End of sentence. Dolphins also control their destiny. They win out. They are the 7 seed. Mark, I'm with you. I not only like New England, they're one of my 5 plays. I'm laying the 2.5 with Mac Jones and the boys. The Giants, with a win, clinch the 6 seed, make the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Surprisingly, Mark, they're hosting the Colts, and the line keeps going down. It's now Giants by only 5.5.
Yeah, how is the line going down?
Thank you. Jonathan Taylor did not get healthy all of a sudden. Andrew Luck did not unretire all of a sudden.
And this is the season for the Giants. They're in the playoffs if they win the damn game.
Giants have an offensive lineman who played for the Colts last year. He already got up before the team this week and said, yeah, guys, with 2 weeks to go last year, all we had to do was win one of our last 2 games. We would have made the playoffs. Yeah, we lost our last 2 games, and I'm no longer a Colt. I'm a Giant. So, guys, I'm telling you. So I would like to think that the Giants take care of business. I don't think they're a good team, but the Colts are awful right now. Give me the Giants, and it's one of my 5. I'm laying the 5.
Yeah, I did not realize when I would lay the points all day in this game. And the fact that it's going down scares me. I might even wait and see if I could get it at 5. I mean, Why not?
All right, here it is. Bucks with a win. They win the South. Can they do it? They're playing the 6-9 Carolina Panthers, and we genuinely don't know if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can win this game. In fact, Mark, I say they don't. The Bucks lost me in the desert last week. They did. They lost me. They were fortunate to get out of the desert and beat what is clearly, with Trace McSorley, one of the 5 worst teams in the league. And they were fortunate to win. Give me Carolina to take control of the NFC South 21-17. 16.
I'm a little bummed out you did that to me. I feel like you stole my thunder, but you combine what Tampa did last week with how effective Carolina was running the ball against Detroit when their season was at the line. Carolina's won 4 of their last 6. They have been playing very hard, very tough football. I think they're going to be able to run the ball on Tampa. I don't know if Tampa's going to be able to stop them.
I don't think they'll be able to run it to the point where they don't have to throw it, but I think they'll run it effectively enough to set up Darnold's play action. Those receivers are better than you think, and I think Carolina wins. Sorry, Tampa.
I'm totally with you. Now, Carolina could lose the following week, and Tampa could backdoor their way into the playoffs. Because
correct.
It is the NFC South after all.
Absolutely. Arizona and Atlanta. I can't believe this game has to be played. I don't know why they cancel it. They cancel games because of the storm. Southwest is canceling flights. Why can't they cancel this game? Whatever. I'll take Atlanta for what it's worth, although I think Colt McCoy is playing for Arizona.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a tie in this game, David.
Listen, I got to admit, if I'm a Lions fan, the Bears scare me. Fields scares me. Him running around scares the out of me. I think Detroit's going to win. I'm not laying the 6, though. He scares me.
I'm with you. They got to figure they're going to play better run defense, but that's against the run. Fields brings that element in of scrambling and working the Lions. I think the Lions win. I think they win.
And the Bears in position right now to get the number 2 pick. And that pick could be worth a fortune. Think about it. If we think there's 2 quarterbacks, like let's just say, it's C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Well, obviously one of them goes 1, and you've got the 2nd pick, and you don't need a quarterback. Do you know what you can auction that sucker off for? I mean, the Colts right now are picking 5. You could hold them hostage. I mean, Hops in our Twitch chat room, Mark's a Bears fan. He's like, if the Bears win at this point, I will be so mad.
Well, and I mean, if somehow Houston pulls off a win in their last 2, the Bears could have the 1st overall pick. I mean, the Bears have to lose this game. If you got to bench Fields in the second half, do what you got to do. You got to get an L here, Chicago.
Denver fired their coach. Their star wide receiver came out in defense of Russell Wilson yesterday. Does Denver show up in Kansas City? Chiefs need to take care of business these last 2 weeks. Broncos and Raiders, right? What they need to win their last 2 and have the Bengals beat the Bills Monday night. And then the Chiefs are the 1. Imagine that. Kansas City could host their 5th straight AFC title game. Unbelievable.
Chiefs win and cover. The number's 12.
I'm with you. Would be interesting, though, if Russ shows a little something without Hackett. How much blame are we putting on Hackett? Can't blame Hackett now for how Russ plays these last 2 weeks.
Correct.
He needs to play well once. Saints at Eagles. Hurts practiced yesterday. To me, that's an indicator they want him to, and he wants to play. They're only a 6.5-point favorite. I'm laying the 6.5 with the Eagles. They are the best team in the league, certainly in that conference until proven otherwise, and they score a bunch of points. I'm laying the 6.5.
David, and I'd bet it as fast as you can, because if word comes out that Hurts is playing, that line's going to jump by 2.5, 3 points.
Philly with a win clinches the 1 seed. Saints clinging to life at 6-9 in that glorious NFC South. Browns at Commanders. Browns have been eliminated. Washington, if they win their last 2, they're the 7 seed in the NFC. Nothing Green Bay, Detroit, Seattle can do. Wentz for the Commanders. Washington, a 2-point favorite at home. Mark.
3 years ago when Wentz was playing against Deshaun Watson, this would have been a really spectacular game, David.
In fact, Mark, at one point, 3-4 years ago, this could have been a Super Bowl preview at quarterback.
Right. This could have been getting flexed to 8 o'clock. Instead, it's buried at 1.
And they're trying to move it to the NFL Network. No, seriously, Mark, this is my boldest bet of the year.
No!
I'm taking the Commanders and laying the 2.
Oh! I thought you were going the other way. Give me Cleveland all day long. Carson Wentz is going to throw an interception that's going to matter. That's what he does, David.
Yeah, But Heineke does that too. So I'm counting on at least one. I just don't need two. All right. Jaguars in Houston. Doug Peterson saying this week there is no such thing as a meaningless game. He stopped just short of going all Herm Edwards on us. I mean, that's how adamant he was at the midweek presser about, we are playing to win the game. Jacksonville doesn't need the game in the standings, but Mark, they haven't beat Houston in like 5 years. I mean, don't you have to start beating the flippin' Houston Texans?
Boy, Houston could be the Chicago Bears' best friend if they can keep on keeping on. But
Right?
I do think what Peterson's saying is true, that this is still a young team. This isn't Tennessee, who's been to the playoffs however many years in a row, that they took last night off and it didn't matter. I think Jacksonville needs to keep the confidence going and win this football game.
I will say this, and this is a dorky thing, just bear with me. If Jacksonville wins, they get to 8-8. They're a game ahead of the Titans. It brings a tie into play for Jacksonville. If that regular season finale is close, Jacksonville can play for overtime. Jacksonville can get a tie. Jacksonville would win the South at 8-1. The other thing, for those that are paying attention, Mark, everybody's crumbling at the bottom of the AFC playoff picture. Think about it. Dolphins have lost 4 in a row. Patriots and Jets are below 500. There's actually a scenario where Jacksonville wins this week, loses to Tennessee, but at 8-9, their win combination can actually make them the final playoff team in the AFC.
Stop it.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Are we going to take the Jags and lay the 4?
I am.
Okay, I'm not. They're going to win. I don't have the guts to lay the points. They haven't beaten them in 5 years. Niners and Raiders, new quarterback for Vegas. San Francisco's won 8 in a row. They're favored by 9.5 on the road. How many Niners fans are going to be at this game?
67%.
I don't know about the spread, but, do we think Jarrett Stidham's? Come on, Mark. he's going up against Brock. Think about this matchup. Jarrett Stidham, Brock Purdy.
Right. Those are NFL starting quarterbacks in week 17. Give me the Niners.
Jets, Seahawks, Geno Smith against his old team. Mike White's back for the Jets. Both of them are 7-8. Both of them clinging to playoff life. Jets a road favorite. Give me the Seahawks.
All day long, I'm with you. Geno Smith in the revenge game.
Although he's downplaying that, Mark. He's downplaying that. He says that was a long time ago.
I understand.
Which is funny, though, because he said the same thing before they played the Giants. And then when he beat them, he talked trash. Vikings, Packers. Vikings are 12-3. They're a 3.5-point dog on the road. Aaron beat the Vikings at Lambeau?
They're going to split. Give me Aaron Rodgers to win the game. I don't know if they'll cover. Should be a good game, but I like the Packers.
Rams and Chargers. Chargers are already in. They do have something to play for if they keep winning, and they've got, I think, like the Rams and the Broncos the rest of the way. They could finish 11-6 and be the 5 seed. Right now they're the 6. Baker was terrific last week. We taking the Chargers? It's a letdown spot.
What do you have the line for this game, by
6.5.
Yeah, I'll take the Chargers.
Okay. I'll take the points with the Rams. I think the Chargers win late. And flex to Sunday night. Could argue it's the best rivalry in the league. They hate each other. Still, Steelers and Ravens. Baltimore 2.5-point favorite at home. Do you think Lamar's playing? Because I do.
I do too. That's why I'm taking Baltimore.
Steelers need a win to keep their playoff viability alive. And we'll talk about Bills and Bengals on Monday. So there you have it. By the way, my 5 officially laying the points with the Patriots, with the Giants, with the Eagles, with the Commanders, and I'm taking Carolina in the 3. That's right. I bailed on my NFC Super Bowl pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost me on Christmas night in the desert.
I'm taking the Jags. I'm taking the Giants. I'm taking the Panthers. I'm taking the Patriots, and I'm taking Michigan.
Look at you. Now, is there a little reverse thing there with
I
Michigan?
can't lose. No, I think I've thought this for a while, David. I think you know that. I just think Michigan in the second half is going to overpower them, overpower that defense, and win the game comfortably.
Okay. All right. I just thought you were doing the Miller and Moulton, Orlando Magic jinx thing there. That's that's what you're doing. Yeah.
Picking Michigan, secretly hoping that they would lose? I would do something like that.
Yes. I know you very well. Yes, you would.
Damn right I would. But I still think they're going to run away with this game. I really do.
So there you have it. Between the college and the pro, there you go. You missed any of this last hour, you should download it, floridasportsnetwork.com. If we do say so, it was above average. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Are you watching Not Top Plays?
Hi, Pat.
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Well, good. How are you?
I'm fine. Still stuck in the Northeast. Hopefully I get out Sunday. We'll see.
Well, things are supposedly getting back to normal.
You know, I'm on United, not Southwest, so I don't know.
Yeah, Pat, I did that yesterday. Like Southwest had 4 minutes apart because I flew out of Southwest Florida. That Southwest was supposed to have a flight to Houston, and 4 minutes later, United was supposed to have a flight. United's flight was fine. Southwest was canceled.
How much money did the stupid government give the airlines? Billions of dollars to fix all this. Unbelievable. Hand out money and they have no accountability. You can't get your money back. They didn't fix anything. That whole system that Southwest has, I was just listening to report on it. It's like from the dark ages.
Apparently, it's so bad and it fell apart that they were having to do what the other airlines do by computer in seconds. They're having to do by hand.
Yeah. Did you see their warehouse with all the luggage? There's so much luggage that they had to open up old hangars and fill them with luggage.
In El Paso,
oh God,
there are
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, well, I will say I've seen no evidence of what's on the news yet, but there are 4 luggage carousels. One of them was literally cordoned off with like yellow police tape because it is nothing but bags.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of luggage.
Yeah. Well, when you saw that thing on the hanger, easily 2,000 or 3,000 bags are in there.
Just find the one with all the cash in it and give it to me.
Yeah. I just never check bags.
You realize that there's a couple bags in there that are drug dealers that are full of cash. They're freaking out.
Yes, they are.
Losing their mind.
If they're smart, they'll walk away.
They'll walk away. You're damn right. That's called a loss.
Cost of doing business.
Yep, you're damn right.
But they do get to say, live to fight another day.
Exactly. That's right.
Or live to steal another day. Whatever it's going to be.
They live to get to mark up again.
Yeah. There's more where that came from. Ah, yes. So tell me how El Paso's doing with all the.
Well, I haven't seen any evidence of it. I'm in downtown, which I'm not usually. I'm usually just outside downtown in the outskirts, right across from the Juarez crossing. But I have to drive past it to the game in a few hours. But last night, driving from the airport to the downtown hotel, which is like 15 minutes and 11 miles, I saw no one like on the side of the road or under bridges or anywhere. Not one person.
Good. They're hiding better than they used to.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, there was a lot of places for them to be.
NFL.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the 8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Steve Deace, who covers Michigan, will join us coming up in about 35 minutes as we look ahead to tomorrow's national semifinal between TCU and Michigan. We talk NFL right now every Friday with Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains and CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. By the way, and I'm not just saying this, to be nice. Thanks for everything once again in 2022. Okay. I mean, we've been friends now for 15 years and you've come on the show and supported it during some bad times. And just wanted to say, thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it. I like being with you guys. You ask the best questions and we always have a good laugh. My job is to throw one zinger just at the end when I'm leaving every day.
We know. And the good news for me is it's usually directed at David, which makes life a lot easier.
That would make it your lucky day, Mark.
You got it. Hey, I want to start with Washington and Cleveland because you talked to Ron Rivera a lot. You've talked to him a lot over the years. Your thoughts on the move to Wentz? I don't like it personally, but I'm not the coach of the Washington Commanders. So your thoughts on that change and how it's going to affect this game?
They're hopeful that this guy can come around. I mean, they're playing with their playoff status with this, but they were losing and there were too many turnovers. And as Ron said to me, I love when people say they're looking for a spark. The guy was 2-5 when he was a starter. There was no spark back in September. It's easy, in my opinion, to come off the bench and have a little bit of good looking football. To prepare to have the team dust off those 7 games, look back at what you had problems with, and he had some problems. It's risky, but I'll say this to you, Mark. I think it's a short leash. If he looks like the guy that was 2-5, I think you'll see Heineke in the second half.
This isn't the type of decision that puts his job on the line, is it? I mean, a lesser coach, lesser pedigree, lesser resume, Pat. I mean, your job rides on a decision like this. We don't think that we're in this type of situation with Washington, right? I mean, Ron Rivera is like the face of the franchise these days.
Well, who's kept it glued together while things were falling apart over there? And who's around to fire him? He's kind of in charge of the GM. So that guy's not doing it. And Dan Snyder, I think Dan's advisably laying low. So I think Ron's fine.
Vrabel last night sat everybody and had no problem doing it, but Tennessee's won the division a bunch of times. They're a playoff team. Jacksonville's taken a completely different approach, or at least so they say, going to Houston. Is this game different for Jacksonville because of their past?
People like to think that. I just think if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. So I haven't bought into the idea they're all playing. I think first off, this is how Coach Cowher looks at things. Don't tell him what you're doing. He's talking about his own team. Just practice like it's a normal week. Get your all the reps they need, and then sit them. Because you don't want to just get the backups prepped to play a meaningless game. You want to take advantage of the week to keep your own team going. And he might be practicing plays he's going to use against Tennessee in a week. So I think there's a lot of reasons to do that. I've been on both ends of this. And the second one good player from Jacksonville gets hurt, you'll see a mass exodus off the field.
Don't they have to at some point, though, start beating Houston? I mean, does that enter into it at all, Pat? It's a division opponent that they've lost to for 5 years.
Who cares? Houston
Okay.
stinks. I'm going to make sure, this is me, that my best football team's available for next week. And beating Houston, that's a next year problem. We'll solve that because Houston's not getting any better and Jacksonville is getting better. You start looking at some of the good things they're doing. They're playing much better on defense. They're running the ball pretty good, and we all know who Trevor Lawrence is. So they're moving away from the status of Houston, and so they beat us. I really hope that Doug Peterson is really smart with getting guys off the field. That's my biggest fear, that he'll lose somebody that he needs. Although, Tennessee, who are they going to play at quarterback? I mean, it's a mess.
Yes, it is. There's no doubt about it.
All right. Carolina and Tampa. Carolina looked great last week against Detroit. They ran the ball for all those yards. I don't think they'll obviously be able to run that well against Tampa, but they showed something. Tampa really, they won the game, but what did they show again? This is dreadful of what's going on in Tampa. You talk to Bulls every week. I know we've talked earlier in the week that we should see more of a hurry up or more efficiency on offense, but can Carolina run the ball on Tampa?
I think so. I think Tampa was a great run defense early in the year, but it has not stayed up to the pace they set for themselves early. So, yeah, first off, Carolina has no choice. They can't all of a sudden say, we'll have Darnold throw 50 times. They're a run and play defense team, and they will come in there and attempt to run, and they're going to lay their cards on the table that way, and then, hopefully they win in their minds by doing it. But they've been pretty productive against a lot of teams running the ball lately, last month of it. It's interesting how they got such good run results after they traded McCaffrey. Go back and look at, they've really morphed into something tougher, and they had 2 guys over 100 last week. So, yes, they're going to run the ball because Darnold can't carry the mail. He can be a part of this thing, and I'm very happy for him that he's starting to show. The Jet fans, I have to tell you. I said, well, fellas, you get to find out if Geno knocks you out of the playoffs. And then when you're done, swing by and watch the Carolina game and see Darnold that you ran him out of town. And he's looking to win the division.
Think about it. The Jets took Darnold with the 3rd overall pick, and they took Zach Wilson with the 2nd overall pick, all within the last 4 years. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's clear they need the first pick, David, because 3 and 2 don't work for them.
Either that or Pat, or maybe they should just try doing it from like the 18th hole and see whether or not, the 18th spot they can, get lucky there. But in all seriousness, isn't Carolina right today, if you took the names off of the jerseys,
yep,
Carolina's better than Tampa right now. I mean, Tampa, honestly, Pat, they're doing virtually nothing well. Carolina's playing good, consistent defense, running the ball consistently. They've had one clunker of a performance in 6 weeks. The Bucs have had one good performance in 6 weeks.
That's all true. And I tend to agree with you. If you ask me which roster would I want, I would take Carolina. But it's a 1-game series now, and it's Tom Brady. And this is a guy that's been in so many of these kind of games. I'd expect him to be at his best. And as Coach Bowles said, we're going to play it with more no huddle, which I love. And I think you guys do as well. And Carolina, there's always a ghost in your closet in football. And Darnold's never been in this moment. This is big. And it's a win or go home. We'll see how he responds to the pressure of that moment. The thing I would have done this week was I would have announced that Steve is my head coach for the next 3 years, because that football team would be inspired by that. And he's the right guy. He earned that job. And why wait till he gets to free agency? Just announce he's the head coach. And they didn't do it.
Do you think they're even close to doing that, Pat? I mean, because if they were, they would have done it, right?
Yeah. And have you seen any indicators that they make good decisions there?
No.
So this is a chance for that owner to do something very boring. Give the interim head coach the contract, because he can lead the players. That's why we're talking so nicely about Carolina. This coach came in to a place that was losing with the high-priced coach who's gone back to college. And what did he do? He turned that thing right around with the same guys. In fact, he said goodbye to the best player, McCaffrey, and he's done it. So he earned that job, but this owner doesn't get it all the time.
And not only that, I mean, you could argue he also did it trading away the best quarterback. I mean, that's up for debate, but remember, yes, they let go of Baker Mayfield. I mean, so no McCaffrey, no Mayfield, who's now won 2 games with the Rams, okay, and he doesn't even know the plays. And, yeah, don't you think if you're Carolina, instead of trying to figure out if Steve Wilkes is the guy who can win you games in January, how about you just reward him for the fact that he's on the verge of taking you to January?
And you have a great sample size. The exact same team that wasn't doing anything, minus 2 good players. It's so clear to me he's the guy. And if they think they're in the running for Sean Payton or Billy O'Brien, they're not. And they could save themselves the embarrassment of chasing those big name guys around by just giving this guy the job.
Well, we shall see if that is the case, because right now, obviously, it's not indicated that it will be. Still got a bunch of games to get to, Pat. Yes. You mentioned the Jets and the Seahawks. How big is this for Geno going up against the Jets? He's not talking like it is, but how big is it?
I think, just my time with Geno, I think the emotion of what happened to him there is so far gone in the rearview mirror. I don't think he reacts to that stuff very much. But he's going to be damn proud of himself if he can lead this team to the playoffs, and it's going to require 2 wins. So I think he's just focused on that. Look, Pete Carroll, didn't you hear what Pete said? As I asked Pete, I said, "Do you think Geno's going to be up for this because of the Jets?" And he goes, "Well, so am I. They fired me too." So
Jets a 1.5-point road favorite. Think about that. The Jets have lost 4 in a row. And they're a 1.5-point road favorite at Seattle, but then again, Seattle's lost 5 of 6. So, two teams heading in the wrong direction and need help to make the playoffs. He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today Show. When we come back, Vikings, Packers, Patriots, Dolphins, Steelers, Ravens, and since we won't talk to Pat again until Tuesday, we'll even talk a little Bills, Bengals.
It's a lot of good games on the schedule this week, fellas.
Not bad.
No.
Miller and Moulton. Pat's appearance is brought to you by Pinchers, with locations from Tampa to Key West. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. We'll get to the rest of the games in the National Football League and finish up our final segment with Pat Kirwan for 2022 on the other side. It's Miller and Moulton. Where else? Right here, but the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. All right. Yeah, Pat, I'm hoping on the same. I got my mother-in-law flying back today, so I'm hoping she's on Southwest, so I'm hoping like hell everything's working.
Yep. Well, it didn't sound like this morning's report like they've really recovered.
Yeah, I know.
Everything. It's kind of sad. I hate flying Southwest. I fly them like the Indy, and that's about it. They have a nonstop to Indianapolis.
Well, they have a nonstop to Pittsburgh. It's the only airline that's got a nonstop from here to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and she flew American all the time, and she got stranded in Charlotte. And I'm like, you're at that time she was 77. I'm like, you're 77. You don't need to get stranded in a damn airport because the flight got canceled. Take direct flights.
Yeah, that's the damn truth right there.
By the way, Canada Relief, Al Michaels is calling a playoff game. NBC, I believe, has 2 games wild card round. So Tirico and Collinsworth have the 1, I'm curious who Al's doing the game with, though, because he can't be doing it with Herb Street. Disney would never let him appear on NBC. Amazon's one thing. He ain't appearing on NBC. So I'm curious, is it like Jason Garrett, Tony Dungy? Who's he doing the game with?
No idea.
Boy, in Yinzer, last break you put that up about the Claypool. I forgot all about that trade. That could be the first pick of the second round if things break. The Pittsburgh Steelers could have the first pick or the second pick of the second round.
Yeah. We love those guys. The top of the second round's
Woo-wee.
very nice place to be.
You got that right. But I mean, Houston could end up with the second pick. Pittsburgh could literally have the 32nd pick because Miami doesn't have one.
Yeah. It's a first round talent for second round money.
And you don't have to worry about the fifth year.
Yep.
Fix that line pretty damn quick.
Speaking of the fifth year, yay or nay for Tua?
Nay. No way.
Can't.
And we're Tua guys, but you can't. Not with the concussions. Can't do it.
Yep. There are those who say yay to that.
I'm not one of them.
I think what the Giants did with Daniel Jones proves how you can do it. Yeah, it may cost you some money. There's no doubt. You may end up having to pay him more in his fifth year than if you had picked up his rookie option year. You know what? That's a glorious situation to be. To have to pay him about $6 to $8 million more than what he was scheduled to make. That means he's kicked ass.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, that's like we did a whole thing. We did an exercise just how bad quarterback play is this year, why the unders were. If you were to rank quarterbacks this year, where does Kirk Cousins rank this year in the NFL? Top 8?
Yeah.
Top 7?
Well, I like 5 of them in the AFC.
Right.
And right after that, he's in there.
Who's played better this year, he or Rodgers?
He's played terrific. Cousins, all these fourth quarter comebacks, he's been phenomenal. He's got to win in the postseason, otherwise he has a different label.
Yep.
But I wrote down this list of guys, like how many headaches there are. Carr, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Tua, Matt Ryan, some are getting retired here, Baker, Wentz, Deshaun Watson, Lamar, Davis Mills, Zach Wilson, Stafford, and Malik Willis. There's a bunch of guys going to get people fired. That's how I look at life.
Are you not a Stafford guy, Pat?
No, I think he's too broken now. I'd be done with him. He couldn't practice. And Jimmy Miller said it all summer. He's not throwing the ball, and he's going to be a problem. Jimmy had the same injury. He goes, that they can say whatever they want. He can't throw every day.
Here we go.
Mr. Carr.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons 3 to 7, Saturdays 2 to 5 when the NFL schedule allows. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat, part of our show, courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. All right. This is why they paid Teddy Bridgewater, I think, the most money of any backup quarterback. Dolphins in New England against the Patriots, who don't have a lot of offensive weapons. It may not take the 28, 31, 35 it takes to beat most teams for Miami. 21 could do it, Pat. Can Teddy and the boys go to Foxborough, where the weather's going to be a lot better than it's been, and get it done?
Sure they can. I think Teddy was a great investment on their part. This is exactly, to your point, why they brought him here. In a lot of ways, there's things he can do that Tua can't do. And so I think he gives him a real fighting chance. I just don't know about betting against Belichick in these moments. They'll play very good defense. And you know that because they are a very good defensive team. And the reality for me is that the Dolphins are too one-dimensional. They're just to throw the two kids. They don't run the ball very well. And I think Belichick will play to that. You know, Teddy's not going to run away and do anything. You'll see a lot of man under two deep and take the passing game away and dare them to beat him with the run. On the offensive side, which is where the criticism of the Patriots belongs, I'm at the point where would you just let Max throw the ball deep early, take some shots? I think this whole check down game that they play and the way they play it, I admire the kid's tenacity, but take the game out of Matt Patricia's hands a little bit and let the kid run with it. I think you should at this point. I'll be taking New England in the game just because of Belichick.
Yeah, we both did the same earlier. Vikings and Packers. The Vikings still trying to hold on to that 2 seed. They're a 3.5-point dog. How do you see this one, Pat?
Look, Cousins, we were talking about him off the air. He's had an extraordinary year, and you have to rate him in the top 7 or 8 quarterbacks in the league. And he really has lots of ways to get you. The running back, I wish they'd give the kid 20 carries or more. When they've given Cook 20 carries or more, they're undefeated. And this is a game you want to do that in. The Packers defense can be challenged with the running game, and I don't think you want to be outside in that place. I saw Rodgers' comments to me were funny. As soon as that game ended the other day and they won, they stuck a mic in his face. And the first thing he said was, yeah, we got 2 dome teams coming to my place. We'll see how we do. I think psychologically the Packers are ready for this. Minnesota, they played fine the first time they played, but this is going to be a different game. I like Green Bay to win it. I'll say this. Green Bay and Tampa Bay, the 2 old dogs, they're not done yet. Until I see them knocked out, I'll be betting on both of them, Brady and my friend here, Rodgers.
Well, Pat, I'm so with you on this respect. In the last month, Aaron Rodgers has become that cocky blankety blank who's won the last 2 MVPs again. The guy who was disinterested and moody and this, that, and the other thing. And now he's basically looking into cameras and saying, don't let us get to the playoffs, boys. Don't let us do it. We snuck in as a 6 seed once before. It's the only time I got a ring. Don't let us in the tournament.
Yeah, and I don't know how far he'll go, but I would not undersell that guy. I think he's ready to go. I hope Watson's ready. It doesn't sound like he will be, though. Christian had a hip issue, so he can make average guys look pretty good as receivers. When he threw that wheel route to the old man down the sideline, the guy who's been playing for 18 years, all things are possible right now. And I love the 2 running backs. I'll take the Packers, I don't know, 24-20, something like that. This is the kind of game that keeps Cousins in trouble with the national fan base. He doesn't win these games very often.
Are the Lions going to win and have a shot at the playoffs the last week? I mean, Fields can run around. They gave up so many yards running last week. I don't think Detroit should be a 6-point favorite in this game.
I do. I think the Bears are a shot. There's nothing there. There's no receivers. Jimmy Miller is the pre and post game show, so I get all the Bear insight from him. And I go, Jim, I'm taking off. I'm not watching the Bears this year. You can tell me how they're doing. I got too much real work to do. But no, I think Detroit's a pretty good football team, and I love them in the trenches. Their line is terrific. We talk about that a lot. Goff, no one's been complaining about Goff lately, and I like the way they do things over there. I don't know the offensive coordinator personally. I'd like to get to know him because to me, that guy Johnson has done a heck of a job with that football team.
Lions 1-6 start, and if they win this week, they'll be 500 heading to Lambeau Field, still very much alive for a playoff spot. The Steelers are still technically alive, Pat. The Ravens now trailing the Bengals need to win this week to assure that they'll play Cincinnati the final game of the season for the AFC North. We believe Lamar is playing. What do you believe?
I do not believe he's playing. I go with Dr. Chow on this. He said it a long time ago, 4-week minimum, and he hasn't practiced. He's not out there, and I don't think he's playing this week. And I think they're in a lot of trouble. Pittsburgh, I don't think they really believe they're going to the playoffs. They're trying to make sure they have a winning record. An awful lot of team pride there, and they'll play it. And if it happens that they make it, fine. But they're really playing. First off, they hate Baltimore and vice
Correct.
versa. And secondly, they're trying to stay away from 9 losses, and they are playing hard. Go check out how that defense is playing right now. They are shutting people down. And I thought last week that the young Pickett, especially in the late drive, was phenomenal. And he's not ready for prime time, but he's definitely convincing me he's the quarterback of the future.
And Pat, Mark, to pick up on what Pat said about the Steelers defensively, remember, Carolina's only stinker in the last 6 weeks was when they played the Steelers, and the Steelers took that running game and shoved it right back at Carolina. And look at what Carolina's done with that running game to everybody else.
And Baltimore has to run the ball to win. That's their game now. They really don't have the runaround quarterback. Can we stop thinking Tyler Huntley is the next Lamar? He's not officially. No.
No, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that are not the next anything. Just your take on the whole Derek Carr benching, Pat.
Well, it's a financial one. I mean, this is not breaking news. You guys, I'm sure, have covered it, but I've read the contract over on my show 100 times already, trying to explain to people you have to stop playing them. It's a $40 million risk. They're not going to take that. And you can't even trade him. This is due February 15th. This is crazy. He has a no trade clause and a February 15th guarantee date. Brilliant contract by the agent, except that it's working against the player now. If I were the Raiders, I would have gone to him and said, "You're not making $40 million in the street. You know that. No one's paying you $40 million. So why don't you do a redo with us? Let's push the date back and let's reduce the money. And I'm going to give you an offer that I think is what the street is going to offer you. So if you want to stay here, take the deal. Otherwise, we're going to cut you."
Pat, literally 30 seconds. Your gut feeling about Bills-Bengals.
I'm taking the Bengals. The Burrow world that he's in right now and the way he's playing, which leads me to the dilemma of who am I picking for the MVP? Because if he does this, he has beaten Allen and he's beaten Mahomes. And I probably will vote for him for the MVP.
How about that? Another thing that could be on the line Monday, seeding and who wins the MVP. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show. The next time we talk to him, it will be 2023. Pat, have a great weekend. Safe travels, and thanks for everything.
Safe travels to you guys, and thanks for having me every year. I plan on coming back next year unless you fire me, and I don't think I'm good. You're not treating me like Derek Carr. I know that.
Not a chance. Happy New Year, Pat.
Take care, boys.
Are we allowed to fire him? I mean,
hell no.
He's allowed one of those relationships where, right. I mean, where technically we might be the GM and he's the head coach, but he's got final say on personnel.
Damn right he does.
Right.
We will talk Michigan next on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What in the hell did we say or do to lose a listener?
I have no idea. Anyone? Bueller?
Anybody?
I did Michigan in Bob Ufer's voice, which I thought was a compliment to Michigan.
Klecko just could.
I don't think he's here.
What'd you do? What'd we do?
Of how everyone else is confused. Also,
We were picking games. Pat was picking games.
I wasn't talking NBA.
Right. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, still in the room. I'm very confused. We booked a phenomenal Michigan guest next.
He's definitely playing.
Oh, maybe he doesn't like Michigan. And then that's,
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
He's a Michigan fan.
Oh, okay. Well then. Huh.
You gonna explain yourself?
Yeah, you didn't like Mark going all Ufer? First off, he's only done it for 15 years.
Right.
And he does it actually as a
out of respect. I loved Bob Ufer, and I hate Michigan.
Right.
I can separate the two.
I used to argue with Twins fans about it because they hated Hawk Harrelson. And I'm like, is this a White Sox thing? And they're like, well, we don't like the White Sox. And I'm like, God, I think Hawk is great.
And KW, I don't know if you heard it yesterday. Thanks again for the shirts.
Yes.
Very, very nice of you. Felipe has his on over there. But Johnny, someone who's been listening a long time, I'd love if I piss someone off, I want to know why.
Totally. We want to know what we did. We want to earn.
I mean, I can.
The defeat.
I have no problem doing it.
Right. We don't want it to be a misunderstanding.
And guys, we are taking the 9 o'clock hour off today. So Happy New Year to all of you.
Yes. We're replaying the 7. It was pretty good.
Happy birthday, Tiger Woods.
That's right. Also, is it LeBron today or tomorrow?
Today.
38?
38. Year 20. Still putting up numbers.
Tiger's 47, right?
47. I went up last night to do this. And I went, I don't have to do this today. This is great. Well, Klecko, good luck to you, because I don't know I don't know what the hell else to say.
Maybe here's the only thing I could think of. Steve does conservative talk, and maybe he doesn't like Steve, but we're just talking
about Michigan.
Yeah, right. We're not talking about the stuff you don't like. So,
or we're coming back now. He's bullshitting.
Do you have him on the line?
Oh, I'm getting.
Come on, man.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Last Friday of the year, it's our last show of the year. We will be back Monday, however. I know many of you, Mondays, the observance of New Year's Day, and it's a holiday for you, and that's great, but there's just too much damn football going on. Sorry. We got to work.
And down the network line, because you don't get the bonus hour in Lake City and Port Charlotte and Tampa St. Pete. Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks for making us part of your mornings.
Steve Deace is kind enough to join us, host of the Michigan Podcast, publisher of Wolverine Digest, which is underneath the Sports Illustrated umbrella. You can follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Deace, DEACE Show, Steve Deace Show. Steve, it's David and Mark. Once again, it's been too long. That's our fault. We know you're doing well. Thanks for joining us and an early Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm very well, guys. I was going to talk to you. Happy New Year to you as well.
Steve, very quickly, before we look ahead, we were talking to you a lot 2 and 3 years ago when Jim couldn't get it to the level that he's got it at now. Steve, you break Michigan down thoroughly. What did Jim do or just do better that he wasn't doing previously so that they're now where they are the last year and a half?
That's an excellent question. And I think because there have been so many false narratives about Harbaugh, because he is such tasty clickbait, that I think it's actually fairly simple, and most people have missed it. And I think it's also, guys, a lost art. We just don't see men in leadership. First of all, I don't see actual real men in leadership in America much anywhere anyway, but we especially don't see it what he did. Number one, this idea that Jim was very stodgy and tinkering with everything and wouldn't let coaches coach, that was completely the opposite direction. We hired an offensive coordinator over the phone. He never met. He let him come in and completely reimagine the Michigan offense in one off season. Okay, I mean, Jim experimented a lot. Jim tinkered a lot, and I think that along the way, Jim kind of lost himself. Actually, I think he lost his own identity. I think he, we recruited off of website lists. And listen, those sites nowadays do a great job of telling you who the top 250 or 300 overall players are. They don't tell you what caliber of integrity of young men they are, whether they'll fit into your program, whether they will work from a chemistry standpoint, from a culture standpoint. And then when you get past those top 300 guys, I mean, no one in the world knows who the 45th best right guard is compared to the 38th in American high schools. No one knows that, all right? And so I think he recruited off of lists, and so he had highly recruited classes in 2016 and 2017 that absorbed well over 60% of attrition, just got annihilated in terms of depth. I think he was tinkering actually and evolving too rapidly. And I think after this thing cratered out in 2020, and he should have been fired, if his name was anything other than Jim Harbaugh, the first quarterback from Michigan to ever throw a touchdown pass in the NFL, and third in the Heisman Trophy ballot. If he was anybody other than that, he would have been crap canned, I promise you. He was given another chance. He was completely stripped of rank, basically. And dude went Rocky III, he went street, guys. Okay? He got hooked up with Apollo Creed. Okay? He went back, got the eye of the tiger, got back to who he was, got back to running the offense that he ran at Stanford, that he ran at the 49ers with some tinkering, and then they evolved it somewhat with Kaepernick, but it was still built around Frank Gore and physicality. Got back to the culture, got back to coaching players again, not just developing them for the NFL, but being their head coach. You should listen to what Jake Butt says it's like around the Michigan program now compared to when he played. You know, the idea that if you had an issue, you would take it to Jim. It was just too daunting of a task. You know, now he's more of a college coach where he's in charge, but he's more of an uncle than a father figure that's towering over them. That's, you know, Bear Bryant in a tower that just isn't attainable, okay, isn't reachable, which worked great for generations of American men who had real dads who taught them the value of adversity and overcoming it. But for this generation who did not have that, they need that developed first before you challenge them on that level. And he figured that out. And now what we have a player-led culture where the players do this to each other, starting with Kate McNamara and Aiden Hutchinson last year, and now it's all throughout the team this year. Is I think he actually just looked at himself and realized, I'm the one that's really failed here. I've lost myself, and I have to check myself before I wreck myself, basically. I think there was just an incredible amount of self-awareness. That's what he did.
He's going Rocky 3 and check yourself before you wrek yourself all in the first answer.
I know they're running on the
right now. That is, I'm ready to run down the tunnel right now, Steve. The one thing that has impressed me about Michigan this year, you know, even in the Rutgers game where they stunk up the joint for a half, is that comes a point in time where Michigan just says now. And I watched this as a kid growing up. That Michigan could impose their will on teams and physically overwhelm them. And it was one thing in the 70s when they had every player. It's a little different now, but Michigan second half is imposing their will on other teams. And that's what seems to me they can do against TCU. Do you think they'll be able to do that against TCU?
To some degree, yes, because I think that they'll be able to do that with what they have done. Imagine watching what Barry Alvarez built at Wisconsin. I mean, you're right. This looks a lot like what I grew up watching with Michigan football, just with, with more athleticism and linebackers that don't have neck rolls. Okay. But it looks a lot like that. Imagine, let's make it a little bit more modern. Imagine the program that Barry Alvarez, created, but with NFL draft picks at receivers and a 5-star quarterback. So that just in case you decide, as Ohio State did, listen, man, we're going zero blitz. We're going full Don Brown. You're not running on us. We're stacking the box. Okay, I guess if you want to do that, this isn't 1981. We're not just going to sit here and just run into the brick wall. We'll just throw it over your heads. Our guys went 4-4-2. All right, so that's cool. And so imagine you now add back element. And that's essentially what Michigan has done. Michigan, Harbaugh went back to realizing, I'm going to be able to recruit. Maybe I can't recruit with Alabama and Georgia when it comes to athleticism, but when it comes to physicality, I'm going to recruit in the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, and I can impose my will on everybody other than the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And then if we get that far in a season, let's go get a 5-star quarterback that gives us a puncher's chance to win those games. That's the formula at Michigan.
Steve, is this year's team better than last year's team? Because obviously they lost some guys who got drafted pretty highly and playing on Sundays and making an impact. But is this team better?
Unquestionably. And I thought all along, I told everybody who was listening to me, this is going to be a better team. Now, it may not go 12-1 again, when you get to that point in time, one injury or two and, a bad break, a quarterback gets hot, what have you. But comprehensively, it is absolutely a better team. That team was more star-laden and gave the outstanding recruiting classes, 2020, 2021, and 2022 recruiting classes are the best recruiting classes when you mix in the ratio of talent, commitment, and culture back to back to back that Michigan has had. I mean, probably, you're going back to the classes that Michigan put together in, 97, 98, 99, coming off the national championship year. So that's, this century. But those classes also needed some time to gel. They weren't ready yet. A lot of those guys like Rod Moore were depth last year. And so we needed more of a star-laden team where those guys could take over games while the rest of the team was seasoning. This year, you look at our team, there is not an approachable weakness. That doesn't mean they're great everywhere, but there is not a spot on this team where you're thinking that's where we're going to be able to attack them, right? Everybody thought all year long it was going to be the passing game, as if a 5-star quarterback just forgot how to throw, okay? It just didn't know how to do it anymore, and our receivers didn't know how to catch. And I get it, I was at the Nebraska game, and I watched from the press box, so I got the all-22, and, I saw a passing game that was just broken. But a lot of it was just broken because it hadn't been fine-tuned, because they didn't really need it. They didn't give it the reps that it deserved. It needed a spark, and it got that spark in, of all places, Columbus, Ohio. And then you saw it carry over, and then you saw JJ even freelance more in the Big Ten championship game. So that's really the question now is, I was listening to Dane Brugler, the great draft analyst at The Athletic, and he is absolutely in love with J.J. McCarthy's tool set. The question for these next two games for Michigan can probably beat TCU with its formula. They just don't have that level. I live in Iowa. I have a lot of friends at Iowa State. I watch Big 12 a lot. They just don't. This style of physicality just is going to be anathema compared to what they are used to. But TCU does have some real pros at the skill positions that give them a puncher's chance. But I think Michigan in the end probably grinds them and wins the game somewhere 7 to 10 points right around the spread. The question for that next game, if we get there, that it really comes down to this. Is J.J. McCarthy ready right now to play like the potential number one pick in the NFL draft? I think most of us think he'll be ready to play like that next November. Is he ready to play like that on January the 9th? If he is, then Michigan can beat Georgia. If not, it probably looks like it did last year, but closer because Georgia doesn't have 9 draft picks on its defense, maybe only 4 or 5. Okay.
And Steve, I simplify this a little bit more. I one think they're going to overpower them, but 2, last year, I'm around a lot of Michigan people. I'm around a lot of Michigan fans. Some of my best friends graduated from the University of Michigan. They were all like school kids, and I imagine the team was just beating Ohio State and getting there. This seems like a business trip. I mean, this seems different against TCU. This seems like this seems like an NFL team going to play a road game as opposed to a playoff game in college football, where last year the moment was too big for Michigan.
I think there's a lot to that as well. And that probably, particularly when you talk about, go back and recall how terrible that start was for Michigan last year. And it wasn't just that. I mean, the Michigan program was feted on the banquet circuit. Now, the Georgias and Alabamas and Ohio States and the Clemsons and the Oklahomas that are playoff regulars, they are too. But guys, we hadn't been in that place as a program really since Lloyd Carr. So we hadn't been accustomed to any of that. And so Jim Harbaugh, National Coach of the Year. Jim Harbaugh was National Hashtag of the Year for the last 7 years. Okay, so I mean, all the awards and everything else, and I do agree that probably it gets you a touchdown in the line when it comes to getting off to an awkward start in the ballgame. I agree with that as well. There is more confidence. And, there was one of the Georgia players, I forget who it was, when JJ was finally brought in the game last year, he made an incredible throw on a line between 2 of their defenders for a first down for about 15, 20 yards. Just an absolute NFL throw. And one of the Georgia guys said after the game, wait a minute, you guys had that guy on the bench the whole time and you didn't play him until the game was basically over. Well, that guy's going to play the whole time now.
Steve, final question. How much pressure do you think Michigan feels to win this game? They were an underdog against Georgia last year. They were a happy-go-lucky story. This is, if they don't win, I don't know if embarrassing is the word, but it's close. And they have a chance to do something that they have not done in 25 years, which is play for a national championship. I mean, do they feel the pressure of this moment?
I don't think so at all, and I don't feel it as a fan, and I'm notorious for feeling dread, right? Okay, but no Michigan team has ever been 13-0. The vast majority of this team will be back next year. I think Blake Corum will be back in a Michigan uniform with Donovan Edwards and J.J. McCarthy next year. I think this is potentially the preseason number 1 team next year, and I think that's into the scenario of, all right, all these guys are back. Yeah, we didn't get it done last year. We have to do it this year. I still think, you guys, in your lifetimes, have you ever seen a defending Big Ten champion, return a starting quarterback and have as little pressure or as few people to pick them to repeat as you did Michigan this year? Probably not. You probably have to go back to like Steve Schnurr, Northwestern, 1995. There really hasn't been a lot of pressure on them this entire time. I mean, most of the people in our business just said last year was an outlier. Ohio State, will be in the national championship game. Let's just move on and see if Michigan craters or gets back to winning 9 or 10 games. I think next year when all these guys come back again, and most of them will because they have to. I mean, a lot of the best players in this program are sophomores. So I think when next year, when this is the preseason number 1 or number 2 team, I think that's when you're going to sense much more of that pressure. But if you watch J.J. McCarthy's MO guys, pressure is just not his thing, man. That's just not how he rolls.
He's Steve Deace, Michigan Podcast, Michigan Digest, which is part of the Sports Illustrated family. Follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Deace, D-E-A-C-E, Steve Deace Show. Steve, as always, thank you, and an early Happy New Year, and hopefully we're talking before a January 9th showdown.
Same to you guys. Appreciate it. Go Blue. Thank you.
Steve Deace, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Mark, did you see what he threw in there? You see what he threw in there at the end?
I did.
Go
I did.
Blue.
It gave me the heebie-jeebies.
For the record, we like the favorites to win. Mark thinks Ohio State covers. I actually think we get two pretty good games, which we don't normally get.
Miller and Moulton. Have a happy new year. Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Lake City. Bonus hour in the 239s next.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks